Now, let's define some of the properties of the cardiac muscles. The first property of the cardiac muscle which I will define is excitability. You know, all those cells which respond to a stimulant in the form of an action potential are known as excitable cells. Okay, so obviously the cardiac muscles are excitable because when the cardiac muscle fibers are excited by any means, electrical, mechanical or chemical, by any means, if the cardiac muscle fiber, they will respond in the form of an action potential. So what is excitability? Excitability is the ability of the cardiac muscle to respond to a stimulus by generating an action potential which is followed by a contraction. Then the second property is automaticity. Automaticity means that the cardiac muscle fibers are able to generate, they have got the ability to generate their own impulse. They don't need any outside stimulus. They don't need any stimulus from external, and they can have their own excitation. They are self-excitable. They can have their own action potential. They can self-depolarize, okay, independent of any nerve supply. For example, if all the nerves to the heart, you know, the heart is supplied by sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves. You know, there are nerve endings supplying the different, you know, areas of the heart, the muscles. So what happens if you cut all those nerves and if you totally denervate the heart so that the heart has no nerve supply, okay, totally disconnected from the brain, even then the heart can go on beating. Even then the heart can produce its own impulse and it will never stop. It will go on beating. Even if the heart is, you know, like cut and dissected away from and it is taken out of the body and it is placed in a dish, okay, in a plate, in a dish, and you will see that it goes on beating for a while. And if the heart muscles are supplied with, you know, nutritions and everything, they will go on beating. They don't need any external stimulus. And now you see this animation. As you can see in this animation, the heart is beating outside the body, no nerve connection, everything, you know, the totally dissected. This heart is ready for transplantation. It is beating like anything. They have the ability to produce their own impulse. And let me tell you one thing else, that if you take out the heart, you dissect it away, you denervate it, and you take out the heart in a dish, you place it there, and you cut that heart into different pieces, like 2 pieces, 4 pieces, or 8 pieces. Each and every piece will have its own beat. Each and every piece will be able to produce its own action potential, and you will see that piece, you know, beating. So this is another property of the heart. Then there is another property which is known as rhythmicity. Now rhythmicity means that not only that the heart has the ability to produce its own impulse, but this impulse is generated at regular intervals. You know, our heart beats at regular interval. We have regular heartbeats and our heart rate is about 75 beats. So in 1 minute, you know, it beats about 75 times regularly. So this is the property of the cardiac muscle fibers, that they not only they produce their own beat, but they produce this beat regularly. And then there is another property known as conductivity. Now this means that the cardiac muscle fibers are not only to produce an impulse, they are not only producing this impulse at regular intervals, but they can also conduct, or they can also spread this impulse to the entire heart. So as to enable this impulse to reach each and every corner of the heart, so that the whole heart can be excited and then it will conduct. So ability of the cardiac muscles to conduct or transmit an action potential over the whole heart along the specialized conducting system having high conduction velocities. This is the property of the conductivity, and this conductivity is possible because of the presence of the gap junction, which I have already told you a few slides back. Okay, now the final property of the cardiac muscle is their ability to contract. So ability of the cardiac muscle fibers to contract in order to pump the blood Okay, this is known as cardiac. So these are the 5 very important properties of the cardiac muscles, and in the next few slides and in the next few lectures actually we will be discussing these properties of the cardiac muscles. Okay.